This is how Zen must feel. Just sitting in silence, watching lines move.
It's what I live for.
Yeah.
Alright, and a 1, and a 2, and a...
Hey! Paisanos, it's the... Excuse me, Princess. Super Show!
Welcome back to the Excuse Me, Princess Super Show. I'm John.
That's John. I'm Aaron.
He's Aaron. And we're watching the Super Mario Bros. Super Show and The Legend of Zelda in its air date order.
If you want to watch it with us, you can watch it on Amazon Prime in Canada.
And I believe the US for the Zelda cartoon. Not here, but in the US. Because actually we're watching a Zelda episode today. But you can watch both of them on the Wild Brain Superheroes YouTube channel.
Buy the DVDs. Sell the DVDs.
Yeah, sell the DVDs to another sucker. Because the DVDs have lost almost all their intrinsic value. Just ask Best Buy.
Ooh, topical.
Yeah. Will it be by the time this goes up?
Yes. We are actually recording just the day after episode 14 went up, so...
Yeah. We completely lost our production buffer, so we're starting a new one. At 10 p.m.
11 p.m.
Is it 11 p.m.? Oh, dip. It's 20 after 11. Well then, nowhere to go but up. The episodes we're looking at today are the live-action segment Wild Thing and the Zelda cartoon episode 3, The White Knight. Original air date September 22nd, 1989. So, Aaron, Wild Thing.
Yes, so I predicted that it would be the Trogs that showed up. And you predicted Animal from the Muppets.
Yeah.
Because James Murray was the topic of last episode.
Yeah, he finally got his long overdue due. And he actually featured in this episode as a brief appearance of Edison, and also puppeting whatever those red spaghetti balls were on top of the fridge, but we'll get to that in a bit.
This is the origin of the flying spaghetti monster in the Mario universe.
Is there one of those?
I mean,
there probably is in this show. Maybe Mario World. That kind of went for a caveman thing to justify all the dinosaurs. It was a little weird.
Yeah.
But as for Wild Thing, as for our predictions, neither of us were right, but you were close. That depends if you think troglodytes is a good word for 1980s obnoxious teenagers.
So, to start off, the Mario Brothers have no power for their relaxing weekend. Until Edison, ruler of all, Edison, the one we all simp for.
The greatest hero.
What the show needed most.
A guy in a hard hat.
Someone has to follow, I was going to say Wemyss, but that's wrong.
OSHA?
That's closer.
Whatever the American version of OSHA is. Maybe it's OSHA too.
Yeah.
Canada's weird like that. Sometimes we have the same thing. Sometimes we have the same thing with a C put in it somewhere. Yeah, like ASPCA. Wait, that doesn't have an extra C in it. What's an actual example of the thing I'm talking about?
That's a good question.
I'm sure there must be one. But anyway, the fact of the matter is Edison has managed to give them enough power for the weekend. And they're going to enjoy a nice, quiet weekend reading a single library book each.
Both plumber related.
Of course. Neither one of which is Plumbers Don't Wear Ties.
Yeah.
They saved that for when one of the other brothers is out of the house.
So, and surprise, their plans get thrown off the rails almost immediately as soon as they sit down and open the book to the middle of the book, because that's where you start every book in a TV show.
It really is.
The door slams open for their obnoxious niece, Marilyn.
Played by...
We'll get into that.
Well, we usually just say who it is and then say we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Played by somebody. But their obnoxious niece has brought her obnoxious friends over to hang out for the weekend, and by hang out, I mean dance in an 80s way to the same song indefinitely.
Probably for at least a day.
At least a day. Well, for reasons we'll get to, I think it took up the whole weekend somehow.
I actually think that it didn't take up the whole weekend, and I'll get to that near the end.
Well, I mean, it makes more sense what you're saying, but it's the context clues from the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. It'll take more than this to drive us apart. But go on.
So they start being loud, have the same song on repeat, dancing around, steal Mario's burger while he's going and grabbing ketchup while blocking his way to the fridge.
Which has some weird dancing felt spiral spaghetti monsters up on top.
It's all in all weird.
Yeah, and it's another one, not to cut to the end here, that reeks of, we just gotta do something. And we don't even have somebody to pretend to be Cher this week.
Though I think that she might have done a more convincing job.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later. And there was a good joke.
Yeah. The brothers have been doing their best to ignore the girls. They got napkins stuffed in their ears while they're trying to read and eat. And after Mario's burger gets stolen, they decide, okay, these kids gotta go. We'll draw noodles.
Shortest one has to confront. So Luigi breaks a spaghetti noodle in half, then another one in half again. There's 3 in total.
Mm-hmm.
And shows it to Mario. It's like, pick a noodle. And every time Mario reaches for one that isn't the shortest, his hand gets slapped by Luigi.
Yeah, and then Luigi subtly, quote-unquote, nudges the short noodle up so it looks longer. And buries the other 2 further and further down.
Until there's nothing left.
Yeah, Mario has no choice but to grab the bad noodle. And it's pretty obvious from the dialogue that this is not the first time this game has ended the exact same way. Yeah, how come I always lose? Well, you're just unlucky, I guess. So we take a break for the Zelda cartoon as Mario's steeling himself to go and confront the kids.
Yes. We come back, and Mario is trying to say words to Marilyn. Trying, but failing. Saying, I think it's time that you maybe should consider, when Marilyn cuts off Mario, can you speed it up, Unc? We have to take off now. We're going, to the next place. We're heading to the beach. There's no beaches in Brooklyn.
Yeah, at which point we learn that the kids are heading off to sunny California because, as she says, the key to partying is to always keep moving?
Yes.
Something like that. The key to strong partying or power partying. Or there was an adjective in there that I can't think of.
Yeah, I can't remember either. Successful partying.
That might have been it.
Is to keep moving. So they're going to visit her uncle, Troy. In California. Where Mario and Luigi are so incredibly happy about this.
Yep, they wish the kids well, and everybody parts amicably.
They sit down, open up their books once again to the exact middle.
And the power goes out.
So, either they have been partying all weekend.
Or Edison was full of crap, and this is the one time he's ever failed.
Or he gave them enough power for the weekend. But the extra power that the party took up lasted all of 3 hours.
Counterpoint. That boombox wasn't plugged into anything.
Counterpoint. We didn't see exactly where all the music was coming from.
It was coming from the boombox. The music started when the boombox came in and ended when the boombox left. It's like Batman 89 with that Prince song while Joker's goons trashed the museum. Or like Batman 89 with that Prince song when Joker's goons have the parade. Or like Batman 89 with that Prince song.
Oh.
I do like that movie though.
Yes.
The Prince stuff actually adds to the surrealness with it because they only used it in Joker scenes.
Yeah.
So it actually kind of works. But enough about Batman.
Back to Mario. So, this was another really, really weak episode.
Yeah. But it was also, in a weird way, kind of inoffensive.
Yeah, it was just there. I wouldn't put it as bad as Cher's Poochie.
No. Which was, as we all remember, empty, cramped, voyeuristic, and insulting.
And the worst.
And the worst.
So far, Cher's Poochie is the worst.
I like this better than Magic Johnson just because there was no forced interaction with someone who wasn't there and who couldn't read lines.
So it's still in the bottom third, but barely.
Yeah. We're thinking, we're going to mention it now, but we're thinking at, probably when we finish the Super Show and before we decide what we do next, we're probably going to do a ranking video. Those are always fun. And we're going to rank all 64 of the live action segments into, S, A, B, C, D kind of thing.
Yes.
And I say 64 because one gets repeated. I'm not going to warn you when it is. You'll know it when you see it.
Oh no. It's gotta be Cher's Poochie, isn't it?
No, I don't think it is, luckily.
Okay.
Man, of all the ones to pull.
To be fair, we have watched this episode twice now.
Yeah. This is us continuing before we were so rudely interrupted.
So, Marilyn was played by Moon Zappa, who is Frank Zappa's daughter.
Famed musician Frank Zappa.
You know Frank Zappa, fantastic person. But she's been active as an actor for a while. I'm only going to hit 3 things that she's done for acting.
Okay.
To start off, she started acting in 1982 in Chips.
Okay, yeah.
She was also in National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Sure. Okay.
And then one that I desperately want to watch is Pterodactyl Women from Beverly Hills.
Yeah, that sounds like a good time. I'd see that.
But the interesting things about her are pretty much her family and her family drama. You see, back in 2015, after the death of Zappa's mother, Gail, it was revealed...
Moon's mother or Frank's mother?
That's a good question. It doesn't say. I'm pretty sure it's Moon's mother.
That would be my guess as well, but I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah. It was revealed that her siblings Amit and Diva were given the controlling power of the Zappa estates, with 30% each, while Moon and her brother Diwazil were given only 20% each.
I think that's the one who did the music for Duckman.
Oh.
Yeah. That's a bit of a side tangent.
Well, side tangent away.
No, that is the side tangent. I'm pretty sure one of the Zappa kids, and I think it was him, did the music for Duckman. Which is a great cartoon that I gotta rewatch someday.
Yes. I have never watched it.
Oh, it was that beautiful, wonderful first year of Teletoon when they were just filling the schedule with whatever they could get. And they had the overnight Adult Swim style block had, they eased into it with stuff like Savage Dragon and Wildcats. And then Captain Star. You remember Captain Star?
Yeah, I do remember Captain Star.
Richard E. Grant.
Yeah.
That's a great show.
Oh.
But anyway, and then it would get further and further in. There was like British animated things besides Captain Star. And then there was Duckman, Private Dick / Family Man. And...
Was he a dick?
Oh, yes. He's voiced by Jason Alexander from Seinfeld.
Oh.
Yeah. He uses the same voice he kind of uses for Catbert in the Dilbert cartoon.
Ah, that's a good voice.
It is. But anyway, I could talk about Duckman at length, but anyway, the Zappa, it was a whole thing. There's a good, if you want to know more about Duckman, there's a great Rebel Taxi video about Duckman.
Okay. So, with Moon Zappa, she has recently reconciled with her siblings. Her brother noting, it may be a bumpy road at times. We are a passionate Italian family, but we have decided to work together privately, discussing issues rather than using public forums and lawyers. If you want to learn more about Zappa,
here are all the public forums that we could be taught about.
She will actually have her memoir, Earth to Moon, released later this year in August 2024.
So put that on your Amazon wish list.
Amazon wish not list.
Oh man.
But
in the meantime, how did you like
Wild Thing?
I can't remember. I keep wanting to say Dance.
That was a better episode.
It was a much better episode.
He put in a full day's work in half a day.
He did.
She put that in...
It might have killed him.
She put in a quarter's day work in 2 weeks.
Well, squeezing those kids into that leather might have been a bit of a trouble. Let's be honest, they came in dressed like that.
Yeah.
No, it's harmless. Like I said, it's not great. It doesn't really do anything, but it also doesn't bother me.
No.
And it has the couple good bits. Mario trying to get to the fridge, and then by the time he comes back with the ketchup, one of them has swiped his hamburger.
With the mustard.
Yeah, he went to get the ketchup to pair with the mustard, which I am perfectly happy about, but you probably were wincing inside the entire time he was trying to get ketchup.
Yeah. Why would you ruin a perfectly good burger with sweetened tomato juice?
Because it's good. And you call yourself Canadian. But anyway.
I'll use maple syrup instead.
We call it the Good Morning Burger. But anyway, and the noodle bit, that was funny.
Yes.
And
there was a lot of background puppeteering that was definitely happening.
Yeah, James Murray was putting in a full day's work.
He always does.
He does always do. And don't let the internet tell you that he's played by anybody else. It's James Murray as Edison and everything else that moves in that place.
Yes.
He was probably the ghost arm.
He was
the Slime Busters.
He was probably also the refrigerator door in this one.
He was the radio.
He was every good part of this episode and none of the bad.
Yeah. Yeah, bottom third, but I think upper bottom third.
Yeah, upper bottom.
I hardly know her. Just jumping in here to say if you're listening to us on YouTube, please give the video a like and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Every 2 weeks you get the podcast, and every Wednesday you get a YouTube short that's one of our best of clips. You can also find those on TikTok at Excuse Me Super Show. And if you're listening to us on a podcast service that lets you give ratings, please give us 5 stars. Help us get up the charts and find even more listeners.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
No. But I guess we should probably move on to the next part, which is a Legend of Zelda episode, which starts off with Link being a hero and doing hero things, and...
Yeah, a hero's life.
Yeah.
Alrighty. The Zelda episode is The White Knight. You might sometimes just see it listed as White Knight, and that's fine.
You might also see it as good for nothing.
A stuck-up, too good to get dirty white guy, which is not untrue.
Yeah.
But it was written by Bob Forward, who wrote the first episode, The Ringer, and the show's Bible, so you can hear about his work in our first Zelda episode. And we'll run through the cast, as we've been going through completely now. Well, we will after the review. My rough sheet got a little worn out. We got some interesting voice acting stuff to try and figure out. But the story, Link and Zelda are out in a
village. Run down.
It's not too bad. They're there getting
it will
Zelda's... Yeah. It's about to be run down.
Yeah.
Literally. But Zelda and Link are getting the royal horse's hooves reshoed by a blacksmith who lights his own What's the blacksmith's flame thing called?
Forge?
I think so. I think you're right. But he just shoots fire out of his fingertips, and Link comments about how, everyone in Hyrule seems to know a little magic, and Zelda says that's why Ganon wants to take it over, even one piece at a time. And then as Link puts it, this village is about to become one of the pieces, because an underworld opening opens up, because they never paved over that one part of the sidewalk that is obviously an animation cell instead of a background painting, which we warned the city council about that. And an army of armored tin suits march out.
John, question for you.
Yes.
I don't remember tin suits in Breath of the Wild or that new one, Breath of the Wild 2.
Electric Boogaloo. No, yeah, tin suits are not real Zelda enemies, but visually and conceptually they're kind of like Dark Nuts from Zelda 1. But
say what? Dark what?
Nuts, yeah, it is. It's Dark Nut. That's Japanese for you.
Ah.
Yeah. But they kind of look like the walking suits of armor stuff you see in other Zelda games. And Link leaps into action and does pretty well, but he does need help from Zelda, who's more than happy to swing in with her crossbow here and there.
After he loses his sword.
Oh yeah, that's right. One of them kicks his sword away.
But before he loses his sword, they drop loot. 2 things.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I did get ahead of myself. The first one that he does, because he fights them a bit the old-fashioned way and then starts zapping the heck out of them. And the first one that pops drops the crossbow that Zelda uses and a rupee. Or ruby, as they keep calling it in this. But I mean, it's a rupee. And the tin suits are then joined by an Octorok, which is in scale to Zelda 1. In other words, it's the size of a person, and not quite as cute. And, Link is minus a sword, but plus a plank of wood, which he uses to baseball the Octorok's energy ball back at them.
Yeah.
So that works pretty well. And,
the Octorok and a tin suit reach for the rupee.
Yeah, everybody's down for this $5 bill that someone dropped. And during the kerfuffle, Link gets whacked away by the Octorok and sent flying off screen through a shed into a muck pile with a pig. And Link spends the next few scenes dirty, which actually does play into the plot, because otherwise they wouldn't have bothered to draw it.
Yes.
But Zelda has run out of bolts for her crossbow, and Link is still making his way back from the swamp. But Zelda is saved by another traveling hero. A stuck-up, too-good-to-get-dirty white guy. Not to bury the lead, because we're not supposed to know that yet. Prince Facade.
Oh, good.
Not only is he handsome, but he's subtle. He shows up in a shining white suit with a shining white horse, and a shield he uses once.
And throws away because he has too many shields and can't stand having one more shield.
He doesn't want anything blocking his visage. So,
also, he used it once. It's done. It's garbage. Like, what the hell? Like, you're gonna use a shield more than once? As soon as you use it, the structural integrity is gone. It's like a motorcycle helmet. If you get into a crash, throw out your helmet, it's no longer good anymore. If you use your shield to deflect an energy blast, just throw the shield away. Nothing good will happen if you use it.
That's fair enough. There's probably a tiny bit of truth to that, but mostly it's just so he needed to free up both hands to fire his own crossbow. Although, just pitching the shield into the ditch was a little much. But it shows how disposable these things are to this guy. He cares for very little except for a certain thing. And anyway, but he does clean up the other bad guys and does a pretty good show of it. Like, this guy's got some skills.
Some style.
And style and grace in Miss United States. And he helps Zelda up, and Zelda is immediately taken with this pretty boy. And,
yeah, if there's one thing Zelda's a simp for, it's this guy.
Yeah, that's about the only thing so far. And, Link makes his way back to them just as he introduces himself properly as Prince Facade from Arcadia. which is unfortunate because we know what happens to Arcadia on the last day of the Time War.
Does it fall?
Oh, yes. It falls hard. And in first person. And the Link goes to introduce himself after Zelda spectacularly fails to introduce him by introducing him as her friend. Her acquaintance. Someone she knows slightly. This guy named Stink. It's Link. And he tries to shake his hand, but he refuses to shake Link's hand because Link's hand is dirty. And,
not in the, oh, you're a peasant, I'm too good for you kind of way. Literally dirty.
Yeah. So, Prince Facade offers to give Zelda a lift back on his horse named Magnus, which is just delightfully pretentious. I love this guy. He's so lousy. And Link has to walk back. Although, he could have just gone back to the village and got Zelda's royal horse from the blacksmith.
It was still being reshoed.
Yeah. Everything else that happened scared everyone else away, but the horse is still there. It's like, what, do you expect me to go with 3 shoes? I'm the royal horse.
Oh.
But anyway, Link makes his way back, and as he arrives, Zelda, Prince Facade, and the King of Hyrule, who we meet for the first time, King Harkinian, are having a chit-chat in front of a fire. Zelda has changed into a nice low-cut dress.
We skipped the bath scene.
No, this leads into it. Because they ask where Link is.
Oh, right.
Yeah. This is one I'm more familiar with than a lot of them. They're having a joke about how good, how great Prince Facade is, and, oh, you're wonderful. Oh, I wouldn't say I'm wonderful. Well, I would. Well, if you insist. Which is only charming once. Trust me, I know from experience. And
but you're wonderful.
Yeah. And then the king, who we get a pretty quick feel for his personality as a doddering old moron, has instantly forgotten the prince's name. And Zelda introduces him as Prince Facade, a great adventurer. And the king is like, oh, an adventurer? Didn't we have one of those around here somewhere? Oh, well, I guess you mean Link. Yes, where is Link, anyway? Cuts to Link in his room, the open-air room that he sleeps in with the Triforce, and he's having a bath in a big wash tub.
Because he was just dirty.
Yeah. So fair play, you know, fair enough. But Sprite, of course, decides to pop in to bring him some towels and get an eyeful.
And offer to scrub his back.
An offer he declines, but then reconsiders and then declines again.
And still is reconsidering.
Yeah.
To this day.
He's weighing his options. Emphasis on weight. But the Sprite has also brought him, quote, the clothes he asked for. But she thinks he's making a mistake.
And he is!
And he
100%. He is making a mistake.
It is a mistake. The mistake he made is trying to dress up fancy. Which, fair enough, Zelda got out the strapless shoulders so he could get out his cowboy boots with spurs, poofy shoulders, blue pantaloons, and what seems to be a hat with a fern on it. And he's also covered in medals.
Yes.
Which maybe are his?
Or he's partaking in stolen valor.
Yeah. He desecrated some war memorial. Borrowed the medals.
Oh, the Canadian way.
Yeah. Oh, the unknown soldier. Well, he won't miss these. But anyway, Link...
Here at the Excuse Me Princess Super Show, we actually do take Stolen Valor very seriously.
We do. We really do. But Link stumbles in, literally. Everybody immediately is giggling at what he's wearing. He tries to play it off as this old thing, I've had it for years. And then he goes ass over tea kettle, tripping over his spurs. And everyone really laughs at him. And deservedly so.
Because his spurs catch on his oversized boots, tears his boots, and he just back front flips into a face full of him. Yeah. Humiliation.
Face full of him. Yeah. Link eats and everybody laughs.
Yeah.
And he takes it pretty poorly. Particularly that Zelda was laughing.
Yeah.
Was it he kept saying, she laughed? But Link decides he's had it.
He quits the hero business. He goes and starts up his own little shop in the woods, selling trinkets to mob goblins.
Mob goblins?
Yes.
Is that what moblins is short for?
Yes.
I didn't know moblin was a portmanteau.
You do now.
Well, I mean, I think I kind of did because I think it was monster goblin. I don't know.
It's a mob of goblins.
It's a gob mob. Anyway, no, he's not quitting the hero business, but he's deciding to pull stakes and take his business elsewhere. If Zelda wants the Triforce protected, her Prince Precious can do it. And Sprite tries to keep him from going, but he jumps out the window.
Yeah. Just breaks both his legs, show is over, Triforce goes to Ganon.
How many times are we going to do the character died and show's over routine?
Every week.
Yeah, as many as it takes until it's right. And he hits the awning, does a flip, and lands on his horse, Catherine, and decides to hit the road.
Who voices Catherine?
If I had to guess, either a stock recording or Frank Welker. Frank Welker voices almost every animal in every cartoon. But as it stands right now, we forgot to mention, but we'll go to it now. Between the scenes, it had cut to Ganon, who turns out is familiar with Prince Facade and knows his weakness. He's vain. Very vain. And he knows that Prince Facade will value keeping himself clean above everything else, including the life of the princess. So Ganon sends a horde of Tektites and... Was it a couple more tin suits, or was it... No,
tin suits, yeah.
Was there actually a moblin in there?
Maybe, but I'm pretty sure it was just tin suits.
I think it was some more tin suits, yeah. And they storm the throne room. The king's asleep and doesn't wake up. We get a real feel for the king in this one. And Prince Facade does a good job fighting him off, but there's a lot there, and Zelda's unarmed, and pretty soon she's being dragged away. And Prince Facade does give chase once he gets rid of the rest of the Tektites.
And he does a pretty good job to start with.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you hear Zelda screaming from the distance, and Link decides to turn around and go save her anyway, noting that he's a sucker.
Yeah.
And it cuts back to the fruition of Ganon's plan, which is to have the monsters bring the princess to a swamp entrance to the underworld, knowing that Prince Facade will not follow her in, and he's right.
Yeah. Just as soon as gets to close to the swamp, he stops on his horse, Magnus. I knew one of us was going to say that. And he says, "Oh, mud." Yeah.
The princess is still calling for help, and
Link responds.
Yeah, but first, Prince Facade has the immortal line, "Oh, sorry, no can do, I'm afraid. These are my hero clothes, and heroes simply do not get dirty. But best of luck, and I mean that, really."
Yeah.
To which point Zelda calls him a useless fop, which could easily be bleeped to sound much worse, and was, by me, in a video that has 2 million views, and we'll play a snippet of it right here.
Sorry, princess, no can do, I'm afraid. These are my hero clothes, and heroes simply do not get dirty.
What? Why, you useless
But then, as Aaron said, Link responds.
Jumps onto a tree branch, doesn't break the tree branch, swings around, lands nicely in the mud, gets nice and dirty, because he's not afraid to get dirty, must not be a hero.
Yeah. But what he is also not afraid of is losing a finger when he spins his sword like a fidget spinner in the palm of his hand.
We went frame by frame, and it goes 4 sword, 4 sword, 1 sword.
A few times.
Yeah.
And then it starts to cycle down. Like, it's supposed to be a RoboCop cowboy style spin, but he's literally just holding his hand open and this, like, it's like it's a trick where he's got a ring with a hinge on it and the sword is hooked up to that and it's spinning around.
Yeah.
But he does that a few times and then finally takes down the rest of the monsters in a pretty good display where the last Tinsu gets 4 zap bolts in like all 4 limbs within a second. Again, this Link is good. He's just
annoying.
Really hard to hang out with.
Oh.
He's not somebody I'd invite to my birthday.
I'll resend the invite then.
Thank you. But no, he fishes Zelda out of the muck and they kind of make up. She doesn't apologize, but she is glad he's the one who saved her. And they get up on the embankment, and Prince Facade is there to talk about how relieved he is. Zelda gets in his face, and he falls into the mud.
Because heroes don't get dirty, and he's no hero.
Yeah, it's symbolism, kids.
Yeah.
Do you think the kids understood the symbolism of Prince Facade?
Yes, 100%. It was a very important moral learning experience brought to you by Shout Factory.
By the letter F. But no. Link tries to get a kiss from Zelda. She turns him down because he's all dirty. At this point, it's more playful than it used to be. And Prince Facade looks at the camera and shrugs. He's like, well,
you win some, you lose some. And with me, I always lose some.
You're probably wondering how I ended up like this.
Well, the answer is simple. I fell in the mud.
And that's White Knight, which I'm not going to bury the lead. It's actually one of my favorite episodes of the Zelda show, and easily my favorite of the 3 we've watched so far.
Yes, I will say this is much stronger than Cold Spell.
Oh, yeah.
And the pilot, what was that called again?
The Ringer.
The Ringer was good. This one was better.
Yeah. Yeah, The Ringer's a good introduction, and then this is actually continuing the style of it, where Ganon's actively attacking, and Link and Zelda are doing stuff. And, you know, it's a bit hackneyed to have, here's the new love interest who's kind of a prick and stuff. But, like, half the episode is the fight scene from the beginning, and it's all pretty well animated.
Yeah, like you mentioned while we were watching it, the difference between this animation and the Super Mario Super Show animation is day and night.
Yeah.
One is good, one is passable at best.
Yeah, when it gets really lucky.
Yeah.
No,
one of them makes sure that they don't have the wrong letter on the wrong hat.
One of them doesn't have people's mouths move when someone else talks. Although the first episode of this did have Link either think a line or just not move his lips when he said it. We're not sure. The jury is still out. But, yeah, this episode, definitely my favorite of the ones we've seen so far. You know, for a 15-minute action-adventure short, it's done pretty well. The performances are pretty good. And, you know, it just, it's a solid little episode. Which is a damn shame, because our Zelda episodes of this podcast perform the worst. But
I mean, maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe it's because no one wants good quality episodes being reviewed by 2 schmucks who are wearing shirts that have things written on them.
So you're saying we need to be wearing plain white tees?
I'm saying we should be naked.
Oh. This is Canada. It's cold up here. All right. So yeah, we'll get into the ratings after, but obviously we both liked this one. Let's do the cast. Jonathan Potts as Link. Cynthia Preston as Zelda. Len Carlson as Ganon. Tabitha St. Germain, credited as Paulina Gillis, as Sprite the Fairy. And newcomer Colin Fox as King Harkinian. And we'll get to him first. Born in Ontario. Some of his works include, he played Ming the Merciless in a deleted scene in A Christmas Story. He played, he was additional voices in the Beetlejuice cartoon. He was in the Babar cartoon from back in the day, just as additional voices. He was in 4 episodes of Goosebumps. He was the professor in Rupert. Did you watch Rupert at all?
Yes.
Yeah. He was the kindly old professor in that, which it's been a long time since I watched Rupert, but thinking of the King's voice, I can kind of see that.
Yeah, I can see that too.
And he played the bad guy, Maximus IQ, in Atomic Betty, which is a more recent Canadian Nelvana cartoon, which I didn't see much of, but I remember it being pretty good.
Is he still active?
Yep, just more bit parts in Canadian cartoons. He's one of those guys. And our final voice actor is a complete mystery because we don't know who voiced Prince Facade. This is one of those cartoons that just throws their cast on a screen without saying who voices who. And there is no credit for Prince Facade anywhere on the internet. Nobody knows who voiced him. It might be Jonathan Potts, or it might be the guy who voices the king. It could even be freaking Len Carlson. Ganon's voice. It was Burt Raccoon and stuff. He has a wide range.
Are you sure it's not Danny Wells?
I'm pretty sure. They were the only American actors brought in for the Super Show, and I don't think they were brought in for any Zelda. So, if anyone out there ever listens to this and knows definitively who voiced Prince Facade, please let us know.
And we will retroactively fix it in post.
Yeah.
We won't. We're too lazy for that. We'll just do a shout out later on when someone tells us what it is. And go from there.
Exactly. Pardon me.
Your pardon, my son.
Sorry, thank you.
I don't think we do.
Are you sure? Usually you do.
I fiddled around with my settings so that it shouldn't. It should just automatically.
Okay.
So,
I know if I don't already have my headphones hooked up before I open Audacity, I can't.
Yeah. I also think you're on an older version than I am.
I guarantee it.
But
okay. It's letter time. It's letter time. Hey, welcome to our first mailbag roundup. To pull the curtain back a little bit, Aaron and I live almost 3 hours apart, and we're still ironing out how we're going to be doing mail segments now that we've started to get a handful of emails and YouTube comments.
However, we are starting to build a bit of a fan base, and I am happy for that.
Yeah. So we want to give you guys some of your due now.
Cole, thank you for your essays. We have been noticing that there is at least 5 Disco Coles.
I never read the numbers at the end.
Oh.
But Cole is a good dude, and I'm worse.
Yeah. I get it. You watch Home Store Runner. Still.
Yeah, like a loser. But anyway, so we're going to highlight a few YouTube comments and an email today. And eventually we're probably going to settle into a groove of doing one of these maybe every second episode if the input stays steady.
And if the input increases, we might have to do it every episode. But we will figure that out as we go. So set your expectations for one every 2.
Yeah. Don't be chomping at the bit wondering if we're going to read it this week, next week, whatever.
If you're watching this episode on YouTube, check the description to see if there's a mailbag segment.
That's the best way to do it.
If you're watching on Spotify, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And
Eyes on the road.
Yeah.
But you can still see if there's a mailbag segment there's still timestamps in the description on Spotify, Pocket Casts, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play.
And if you're listening to this on BBC Now, tell us how.
Yeah.
We really want to know how we ended up there.
Put in a good word for us with Stephen Moffat. Maybe he can get Alex Kingston. Maybe he can get Alex Kingston to slap one of us. Had to give the game away on that one.
Dibs out.
Fair enough. All right. Start us off. We're going to do a couple of YouTube comments, Aaron.
All right. So, to begin with, we have Xylo Piano 3. Now, Xylo Piano 3, in episode 5, wrote us, "Thanks for the shout out. It's so cool seeing my work used in another video, and great episode. Thank you, Xylo Piano 3. we are thrilled to have had your work used in this. For those who don't know, what has Xylo Piano 3 done?
He wrote the cover of Ganon's theme that I use as our outro music in the Zelda episodes. And he was gracious enough to let me use it for the show. I asked him in the YouTube upload of that. And he said, yes, absolutely. And let me know when it goes up. So a big shout out to him, as always. And also to A.B. Kess for his Heroes theme cover. He never actually got back to me, so I'm kind of doing a bit of a better to ask forgiveness than permission thing, but only because when I asked permission, I didn't get an answer.
Yes.
So if it doesn't hurt us, we won't hurt it.
Yeah. If it hurts us, we'll hurt it. And as long as it's consensual.
Alex Kinkton.
Now, off to Lanola Cola.
Who, as we've mentioned before, is a confirmed listener of Jump on the Batwagon.
And jumped from the Batwagon
Yeah, a certified...
to the Mario shop.
Yeah. Not exclusively, of course. You're still a yappy dude, but we appreciate your presence.
And we're glad to have you, Paisano. Lanola Cola wrote on episode 10, I honestly popped when you revealed that the writer also worked on Deke, Dub, Sailor Moon, and Crypto the Super Dog. Managed to catch both on Cartoon Network back in the day. For us, it was...
YTV.
Yeah.
A few years earlier, because it's worth noting, as it's been said before, Sailor Moon was a giant hit here in Canada about 3 or 4 years before it was in the States. In the States, it was syndicated and aired at like 5 a.m. until it got to Toonami. But up here, it got prime time slots because it was Canadian content. And we had a pretty big Sailor Moon toy business for a few years ahead of the Americans. There were actual like dolls by...
Hasbro?
No. One of those ones you don't hear about anymore.
Maytag? No.
No. It was like a toy company. It wasn't Bandai. It was,
Oh.
Hang on, I have to look this up. We'll trim it down, but I have to check.
Was it Nintendo? No. Was it... Mighty Max.
No, the company.
Who did Mighty Max?
Pretty sure that was Hasbro.
Oh.
This was, Irwin Toy. You remember Irwin Toy?
No, but I remember Steve Irwin.
I don't think it has anything to do with it. But anyway, yeah. As for Crypto the Super Dog, that was a bit after my time watching Cartoon Network shows regularly, but I know it was a big deal. And there's going to be a much deeper Sailor Moon connection when we get to Mario 3, but I don't want to spoil it yet.
Okay, good. Now, John, we also have an email for you to read out.
Yes, our first email from... Hang on. Navigating here.
Dr. Derp, or...
From Dr. Derp. Now, these are long ones. We won't always read out the whole thing, but at least for this inaugural one and maybe the next one we will, because there's some interesting discussion points. Hey, John and Aaron. And also Dr. Derp, I also recognize from the Jump on the Batwagon audience, one of the awesome sauce listeners in this here community of ours. Hey, John and Aaron. Been listening to the show since at least January, if not December. I was made aware of it after I first heard your first letter on the Yoppy Dudes podcast. As a lifelong Nintendo fan with a fascination with the earlier cartoon adaptations like the Super Show, I was delighted to discover a podcast dedicated to the show. I always look forward to hearing a new episode every other week, and I'll be sure to send in mail with my thoughts on each episode from here on out. Keep up the good work. Yeah, apologies in advance for not doing weekly mail, but we'll be catching up. Thoughts on Cher's Poochie? So that was episode 14.
Yes, which just released at time of recording 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
So this was preloaded for that episode. Sorry about that. I might as well take now to commend the lead performances by Lou Albano and Danny Wells. Up until 2023, they were my de facto takes on Mario and Luigi outside of the video games themselves. Their charisma on camera especially is endearing. Or specifically, sorry. They give the live-action segments, and in turn the show itself, a lot of charm. I remember when I turned on the Super Show for the first time, I was thrown off by Lou Albano's significantly rough voice compared to Charles Martinet, but it's amusing that he still manages to imbue Mario with a sense of youthfulness lost in the more Bob Hoskins-esque performances in the Mario 3 and Mario World cartoons. That's a problem with those that I also have, that we'll get to eventually. There are other subtle ways the cartoon seems to unintentionally foreshadow later games, like Luigi's more cautious personality. I also love a lot of the weirder characters we meet in the live-action segments, like Edison. I wonder what he would look like in the Illumination movie.
I'm glad that we'd paid Edison his due in that episode.
Yeah, we were there in spirit with it. The set design for the Mario Brothers basement in general is really endearing, and I love visual gags like the silhouettes outside the window. As for the live-action segment itself, it's a little disappointing that the gimmick is just bonkers and yonkers again. Yep, but at least it's an improvement. The gimmick of Mario being trapped in the dog is cute insofar that the dog looks appealing, and it's funny to hear Lou's voice coming out of him. Not the worst live-action segment on the show.
We disagree.
Well, no, yeah.
Yeah, currently,
That's
we
true.
disagree.
Well, yeah, it's pretty close to the bottom. But yeah, having it be a pug, because pugs are always fun to look at. Thoughts on Brooklyn Bound? Koopa Con, why do I have a bad feeling this isn't going to be a Star Trek parody? Yeah, tell that to the Mario Wiki.
Yeah.
It lists the
Stars in their eyes.
as being an homage to Wrath of Khan, which is so wrong it's painful. Before talking more about the episode itself, I'd like to take a moment to gush about the show's music, specifically the arrangements of the classic tracks from Mario 1 and 2. I have a soft side for Mario 2 specifically. I played the Game Boy Advance remake as a kid. Very good. I love those Game Boy Advance remakes myself. The soundtrack for that game especially is underrated, and I'm happy to hear it gets consistent love from the show. I also appreciate hearing sound effects from the games in the show, but this seems to be a common to a lot of early Nintendo cartoons. Speaking of which, it's funny how most Mario adaptations from the 90s ran with the premise that the Mario Brothers came from the real world, and only with the 2023 movie is that idea making a resurgence. It's nice to see an episode that actually talks about that premise, even if it raises the question of when the heck the live-action bits are set in relation to the cartoons. Yeah, our best guess is that the entirety of the live-action stuff takes place before the Mario Brothers find a secret warp zone working on the drain, because otherwise they would never shut up about it. I really wish Koopa went with any other gimmick for this episode. Any other gimmick. Really, it doesn't matter. The abominable Snow Koopa has a nice ring to it.
Koopa Trudeau.
We're just going to keep walking. I don't know if I'd be too much to expect this, but I'd love to hear Dan Reba talk about his experience on the show. I'd love to hear about how the show was developed, from the character designs to the animation process to why the Mario Brothers were gambling with a game of Go Fish in the Riverboat episode. I don't think we need him to explain that to us, but I'd still like to hear him talk about that. That's me editorializing, not the letter. I agree with you. If we ever get big enough, I'd certainly try to reach out to Dan Reba. He always seems game for appearing on people's podcasts.
I want to reach out to James Murray.
Yeah, and James Murray. I like how we meet someone else who found a warp zone to the Mushroom Kingdom, and how the episode plays into Mario and Luigi's homesickness. I also like how the preferred meal of choice for Koopa's gang of sniffets is buttered toast.
It's just bread.
Yeah, it's just bread. But whatever. Like we said, maybe Koopa toasted on the way down. Although I don't think he's actually breathed fire in this show, considering in this episode, or in an episode we've talked about recently, he needs special fire magic to shoot fire.
Yes.
Excellent cover of Danger Zone. It really is a shame that there are no official releases of these covers intact, except for Jungle Fever. They add a lot to the episodes, and the recycled background music from the later Mario cartoons is a horrible downgrade in comparison.
Yes, it sure is.
As from the perspective of this mailbag, you'll hear about that next time.
Yeah.
The episode actually gets really sweet towards the end, and we hear Koopa use the word simp as a bonus. Not to mention the return of Pasta Power. Overall, solid episode that did not need the Koopa Con gimmick, but whatever. Favorite joke? A toast to Koopa, followed closely by Cher's horrified realization that Mario is now her dog. And he borrows Jump on the Batwagon's Books or Hip Hop and decides that the episode is books, which I would agree with. That's Brooklyn Bound. Unintentional foreshadowing count is 3, plus whatever unique moments of foreshadowing we saw in previous episodes. Like the great BMX race foreshadowing Mario Kart, which you definitely noticed. Hell, you predicted it. MVP of the episode, Pam Madison as Cher.
I disagree.
She was having a lot of fun and gave the live-action segment its best moments.
There were no best moments.
No, but if there were... No. That's okay, though. We'll agree to disagree on that one. It's 2 against 1, so I'm afraid you're wrong. Question of the week. What is your favorite Mario game? For me, at the moment, it's a 3-way tie between Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Mario Odyssey, and Super Mario World. I have not gotten to play Super Mario Wonder yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Fun fact, Mike Wingert, the new video game voice for Mario, has previously voiced Poe from Kung Fu Panda and Tony Stark Iron Man across various different TV cartoons and theme park experiences. Looking forward to next week's return to Hyrule. See you next time.
Okay, so favorite Mario game. This is easy for me. Sunshine.
Really?
Yeah, 100% Sunshine. Every time I play Sunshine...
Have you 100%ed Sunshine?
Yes.
Damn.
I did it on the GameCube.
Is that why you went bald?
Probably. It's the surf episode that got me. The optional surf mission.
Yeah.
Where you take forever just getting to the island because you have to go on boats, and I get distracted and I watch TV instead of waiting, and I look back and I see the boat that I was supposed to jump on go off into the distance, and I'm like, oh no. But I have 100% Sunshine. It's one of my claims to fame.
Did you do it on the new Switch version too?
Yes.
Oh. As for me, my favorite Mario game, Super Mario Bros. 3. I love it in all of its myriad forms. I had it on the NES. I had it for Game Boy Advance. I didn't have it for Super Nintendo until later because I was a Genesis kid. But I've every version of Mario 3 that's been commercially available, I've had access to. And it's just my absolute favorite. Second place would probably be 64.
And my second place would be Link's Awakening. Wait.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, there was a lot of Mario iconography in there.
Yeah, that's true. It's the most Mario Zelda game there is.
What's the most Zelda Mario game? Mario RPG.
I think that's fair. Or maybe...
Mario Kart 8, because you can...
you can go to Hyrule.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the music from that track.
Oh. I just love the fact that it's rupees instead of coins.
The little touches. Like how the item roulette does the do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Oh.
It's just, it has that Nintendo love and care that when you talk about it makes you sound like a Nintendo fanboy, which is fortunate because I am, so that saves a lot of time.
You Nintendo simp.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks for the letter, Dr. Derp. We're sorry it didn't line up with the episode that you sent it for, but we hope you enjoy our reply.
And we will be doing, just because of how difficult it will be to line up episodes, it might be always 1 or 2 weeks behind.
So keep that in mind, but don't be discouraged.
Yes, we appreciate it. We'll talk about more of it. And, back to the episode.
Wart pipe sound effect here. Alright, well, so we'll get into the ratings. How do you rate in our patented stolen 0.5 out of 10 scale The White Knight?
Ooh. You know what? I think this one it's an 8.5. Dirty Heroes.
30 euros. Good. Have we gone back and written any of these down after the fact?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, I haven't done that for this one, but I will. And I think, 8.5 sounds good to me, too. Leave a little wiggle room for a couple that I know I like better. I'm going to say 8.5, stuck up too good to get dirty white guys.
All right.
Now, if you want to reach out to the show, You can email us at excusemesupershow@gmail.com and leave comments on the YouTube version.
Find us on X at Excuse Me Sup Show.
Because super is 2 characters too long. And we're also on Blue Sky at Excuse Me Super Show. And you can follow us on TikTok for best of shorts every Wednesday. But those are also on the YouTube channel.
And Facebook page.
And the Facebook page. Also Excuse Me Super Show. Now, we're going to do a mailbag roundup next episode. We were going to do it this episode, but didn't have time to prep everything. Because we've actually been getting some correspondence. So look forward to that next time, too. If we get it more regularly, we might start doing it as a drop-in. But as it stands, maybe the first or second episode of every recording session, we'll do a roundup of some of them.
What episodes do we have next, John?
Well, let's see. The live-action episode next time is called EC, The Extra Creepy.
Oh,
So what do you think that's going to be about?
well, I don't think Ernie Hudson's gonna be back, sadly.
No. Think slightly later in the 80s? Maybe earlier?
I'm thinking that it's probably going to be an E.T. ripoff.
Mm-hmm. That's my guess, too, judging from the fact that it's called EC, The Extra Creepy.
However, it's going to be creeped out by the Mario's mantra of neatness counts.
And the fact that they flagrantly ignore it.
Yes.
Question. Will he use the pizza phone to call anywhere? And if he does, will it be home?
No, I think he's going to use the pizza phone to call, but he's not going to call home. He's going to call for more pizza.
Do you think they change out the pizza that the phone is buried in?
No.
Okay.
I think that at this point, it's like the McDonald's burger that's been sitting for years and has no mold on it.
Yeah.
This is just a science experiment for them now. And it's working because they can now make phone calls on it.
Yeah, it was just a pizza originally, and the phone is what grew.
Oh.
And then the pizza phone rang, as it so often does.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Thanks, James Murray.
Yeah. And, okay, here's another one that's actually going to be fairly self-explanatory. The cartoon next time is called Toad Warriors.
Oh. They're finally going to do an adaptation of Battletoads. Which I'm pretty sure came after this came out.
A little bit. It was on the NES, though. You want to take another swing at that one?
Yes, they're finally going to do an adaptation of Battletoads.
Very good. And I would guess it's going to be Mad Max, specifically the Road Warrior.
Oh.
If I had to guess. Or it'll be more like that episode of Reboot that got adapted by the same writer to be Mad Max Fury Road. That's such a great story. Do you know that story?
No.
Well, this is a good time for it. We're at 45 minutes. The one of the main writers of Mad Max, I can't remember the name, of at least one of them. I could be getting some of the details wrong, but the point is, and there's that episode of Reboot that's like a Mad Max spoof, Bad Bob.
Yes.
And it mostly involves the long road trip with the truck to get it from one place to the other and all that stuff. The guy who wrote that wrote Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh.
And Happy Feet. But that's neither here nor there.
I want to hear more about the Happy Feet.
Well, basically it's one of those, he used the Happy Feet money to get Mad Max made.
Oh.
Yeah. But so, yeah, there's an episode of Reboot that came out over 20 years before Mad Max Fury Road that's like a rough draft of it.
Okay.
But of course, Mad Max Fury Road doesn't have the two British pinoms who always got into trouble. Uh-oh, Binky. Looks like we've bought it. Again, sir? And, but yeah. So, that's what I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a Mad Max thing. And
Are we getting into the parody section now?
Yeah, I think we've had a good run of only mildly Like, even the last one, Brooklyn Bound, only had the trappings of the Mongol hordes, but it wasn't spoofing anything other than that. And the one before that was, what was the Mario before?
The Mongol Brooklyn Bound. Before that, it was Jungle Fever or whatever it was called.
Which, again, wasn't spoofing anything specific. It was
just
still
slightly problematic.
Only slightly. Only slightly. Okay, but we'll see how slightly problematic we are in the next episode. Because, once again, I'm John.
I'm also John. Wait, I'm Aaron.
And until next time, everybody,
do the Mario! I think that went pretty well.
I disagree.